Hey, and welcome to the Indoor Football Experience. I'm the coach. We're joined by the kid, RJ, and we're second edition this week. We've got another great show lined up for you. Again, you're listening to the Indoor Football Experience on the Alternative Football Network. RJ, good morning. How you doing today?
I'm doing well, Coach. How are you doing?
Doing real good. An exciting week on the arena indoor scene. A lot to talk about. Another great guest. What's been going on your end this week? I know earlier when we were talking, you had a chance to talk to an owner in the CIF.
That is correct. I talked to the owner of the Amarillo Venom, who have had a rough week as far as it goes. Their game got canceled in the CIF. Um, we're not positive why yet, but the Revolution Venom game is a no-go this week. So sorry for your CIF fans. But I talked to the Venom owner, and I was throwing out hypothetical of them joining the IFL down the line. They said not going to happen. They love the CIF, and I'm happy to hear that they love the CIF because for some markets that's really good for the league model they have. And for bigger markets, bigger venues, it seems like it's more IFL, but the CIF is a nice regional league.
Yeah, I totally agree. And as long as they have those teams in Texas and down in that region of the country, I expect to see those Texas teams stay in the CIF. If they do embark or engage in discussions with another league, again, we talk about travel so much, it would throw their travel so out of whack. I'm not sure if they'd be able to survive.
It depends on who's financially backing the teams. How much money do the owners have? How much are they able to put out? How much are they willing to put down?
Yeah, that's all. That's always the case. The CIF. The unfortunate thing is this is the first time that they've experienced something like this. The league has really been run relatively smooth since its inception. They haven't had too many hiccups. Yes, teams come and go at the end of the season, but they've been doing a nice job getting through the season. So we'll have to wait and see what the official information is on this situation. And like I said, it's unfortunate, and hopefully, it's something that doesn't revisit itself again.
Yeah, and just a quick recap of yesterday's CIF game. It was a blowout. The Wichita Force fell to the Sioux City Bandits in Sioux City, 70-30. So that was a blowout. But today we got the Duke City Gladiators going to Salina to play the Liberty, and then you got the Omaha Beef going to Oklahoma to take on the Flying Aces. The Duke City game will be taking place at 6:30. The Oklahoma versus Omaha game at 7 o'clock. You can watch those games live on Pluto TV. Pluto TV is a free streaming app, so you can download it. It works pretty well.
Yeah, Pluto's not too bad, to be honest with you. I spent more time with it last season than the season prior when the league first introduced it and they went to it. I hear a lot of complaints about Pluto and the game feeds on occasion when I'm on the different sites on social media and whatnot. But I feel like you do. I haven't had any problems with it, and something's better than nothing at this point in time. So hopefully the Pluto game feeds are all up and working, and give the CIF fans out there and all the arena and indoor fans out there another opportunity to watch these games. And that's really what I think has helped stabilize the industry and help take these leagues to another level and help take these players to another level. This Pluto and YouTube exposure that the players are getting at this point in time.
Absolutely, and I think I really have one nitpick with the Pluto TV streaming, and that's that you can't go back and rewatch things really quickly. But that's minor, and I was really doing that. The only reason I was really upset about that is because for a while I was running a top 5 plays thing, so when I saw a big play, I didn't have to wait for the highlight package to come back out. That was really the only nitpick I had. Also, if you get Pluto TV, you get TNA for free. I mean, I'm not a huge wrestling fan, but if you're into that stuff, I'm just saying.
Yeah, you always got to have something to bring new viewers in. So by allowing them to watch something else that a lot of the viewers are interested in, and we know for a fact that a lot of arena and indoor football and football fans in general are into wrestling. So it's a good way to reel people in.
Yes, it is.
So we had a chance to get our first show off the ground last week, and really got some good responses from a lot of different regions in the company, to be honest with you. So I'm looking forward to moving forward and talking a little bit about the IFL and news and scores right now before we have a special guest at the bottom of the hour that I'm really looking forward to talking to as well. And the IFL is back in action with a full slate of games, RJ. And Nebraska takes on the Arizona Rattlers. The Bismarck Bucks take on Green Bay. Cedar Rapids River Kings take on the Iowa Barnstormers. Sioux Falls will take on Quad Cities, and the San Diego Strike Force and our guest from last week, our inaugural show, Omar Cook, will take on the Tucson Sugar Skulls. So, what are your thoughts? Let's kind of just go through the games on Nebraska and Arizona. What are your thoughts?
Hold on, I gotta pull up my official picks I did this week. I'm gonna pick them with the Arena Football Talk staff, so
Uh huh.
just give me a sec. I don't want to deviate and then hear from some of the staff members. If you're deviating from your picks, I don't want to be that guy.
Gotcha. Well, I'll tell you what, I'll go ahead and talk about this game.
All right,
Talk
go at
about
it.
this game, and then we'll get your thoughts second. Again, Nebraska Danger playing the Arizona Rattlers. Arizona's in the process of loading up. We talked about last week a couple real key signings to bolster their roster going down the stretch here. Nebraska has been it's been a roller coaster season for them all year. Every time I think that they're playing good, they run into another tough opponent and take an L. So in this game, I'm going to go with Arizona. They're just playing the best football in the IFL right now. I'll take the Arizona Rattlers over the Nebraska Danger in this game.
Yeah, that's what the entire AFT staff is saying as well. I think it's just that Arizona is so stacked. I don't know. There's just something about how the Rattlers conduct themselves that really strikes fear into the other teams, and also, they are going to be in Arizona. I mean, if you go to Talking Stick Resort Arena during a Rattlers game, the Snake Pit it is always bouncing. It is a very, very lively environment, and I feel bad for any team that has to go in there.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough trip for Nebraska and their team, Tommy Armstrong, their quarterback, and their head coach, Cornelius Big Brown. So, tough road challenge for them. Moving on to the next game, I'm going to skip the Bismarck Bucks Green Bay game. We're going to talk about that one last. Next game, Cedar Rapids River Kings. They travel to Iowa Barnstormers in another tough road game in the IFL and another tough game for the struggling Cedar Rapids River Kings.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going Barnstormers again. The entire AFT staff, going Iowa. The Barnstormers are always a tough team. They are your defending United Bowl champions. It's just hard for anyone to go in there and take them on. Also, the River Kings, I was kind of surprised they are doing this poorly this season. I had very high hopes because last year I saw a lot of things on the upside for them. But the issue is with indoor football, and the more you learn about it, the more you realize this. Just because the team's looking good one year doesn't mean they're going to be good next year because there's so much turnover from players that you're not necessarily going to secure those core players you have.
Yeah, most definitely. And that's one thing, where, again, and I'll take the Iowa Barnstormers in this game before I make this comment, but you see so much turnover on the roster year to year. And I really think that's what allowed the Sioux Falls Storm to have the success they did. They kept so much of their core team together from year to year during their United Bowl runs that the IFL actually started to put rules in to kind of work against them, so to speak. So one thing that I noticed with Cedar Rapids, the quarterbacking and the wide receivers, they have a great run game, but in the IFL you need your run game to supplement your passing game, and they've really been struggling from the quarterback position, which I thought that they would get better play, but the play has tailed off there, and the wide receivers, they just need a better core of wide receivers in there. They need some more playmakers. So tough road
Yeah,
game for the River Kings.
yeah. I mean, it's been a tough road for Cedar Rapids this entire year. First year under new management. I feel like when you might as well call them an expansion team this year because they basically are in a sense in that they're playing like they got the whole new turf, the whole new logo, the whole rebranding. It's a new era. They might as well be an expansion team in that sense because that's how they're playing as well.
You make a good point there, and I never really thought about that, but that basically is the situation they're in. They also have a struggling defense, but like I mentioned a number of times, their schedule is as tough a schedule as there is in the IFL, and their road game is just their road schedule is just like a murderer's row. It's almost like they don't have a chance. So go with the Barnstormers in that. Moving on, Sioux Falls Storm is going to travel to Quad Cities and play the Steamwheelers, and I kind of feel like the Steamwheelers a little bit like you do about the Bucks, how we were talking off air. Every time I really want to ride with them, they have a hiccup. So give me the Storm on the road for a road win for the Storm.
All right, that's what everyone at AFT is saying, except for me. I'm going with Quad Cities Steamwheelers. This is if the Storm cannot stop Quentin Pedroza and EJ Hilliard, they're done. I feel it's because they can go in a shootout. If they stop Quentin Pedroza, they win. It's basically going down to that, in my opinion. That's like if you want a very black and white example of how to win, that's how I'm looking at it.
Yeah, so hey, every now and then you gotta go out on the limb. So I commend you for picking against them and picking the home team. Next game is the San Diego Strike Force, and they're going to travel to Tucson and play the Sugar Skulls. Sugar Skulls have fared well for an expansion team this year. The San Diego Strike Force has played well at times. They're struggling with some transition at the quarterback position right now. It's going to be a tough task for them to go down to Tucson this week. So give me the home team. I like the Sugar Skulls in this one.
Same, and just talking about Tucson real quick, and they're playing the Tucson Sugar Skulls are playing the Strike Force on Thursday night, so it's gonna be a short week for either team. So you really don't want this game going into OT.
No, you don't, and that's some real interesting scheduling. I know a lot of times at this time of year, there's a lot going on in the venues that these teams playing, and sometimes you don't get all the premier dates that you would really like. And I would imagine in this situation, San Diego's arena, they were probably scheduled for a home game this following weekend, and I would imagine their arena is probably booked with other activities, and they had to take this Thursday game.
Probably the San Diego Gulls of the AHL and the playoffs. I think that might be it.
Yep, you do run into that a lot.
Also, could be the San Diego Seals of the National Lacrosse League, or even the San Diego Sockers of MASL.
Right, so they're a rare team that has 2 or 3 other sports in their arena, which can be a tough task when it comes to scheduling. So, quick turnaround for the Sugar Skulls and Force. So we'll see how it goes down. And getting back to another good game, and we're going to be having a guest from the Bismarck Bucks on the line here with us on the indoor football experience here shortly. But I wanted to talk about this game a little bit because it seems to be on paper one of the, this should be a good ball game and a close ball game. Bismarck Bucks traveling to the Green Bay Blizzard.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I wrote an article, a few weeks ago about Bismarck. I said, I forget who they were playing. It was open season on the Bucks, and and I kind of gave the Bucks my unfiltered opinion, and they weren't too appreciative. I still apologize for that. But next thing you know, they start winning. And so listen, Bismarck, you can be mad about how I wrote that article, but you gotta thank me for lighting a fire under your players. Okay, you gotta give me that.
So that's the thing we talked about, the transition and the turnover on so many of the teams, and the Bucks are in that same situation. They've come from another league where we got a lot of expansion in the IFL this year, and these teams are struggling, but they're starting to find the players that they want that fit their systems. And they're also able to grade out their rosters now, where they have their best players on the field. And the Bucks have done a nice job with that. I know some players who have been in and out of there this year, and I know some guys are on that current roster. So the roster is as good as it's been for the Bucks so far this year. So I'm going to go out on the limb on this one, and I'm going to take the Bucks over the Green Bay Blizzard.
Same. I'm the only one with Arena Football Talk saying that as well.
Yeah, I just feel like
they have so much momentum right now that I feel like they kind of got this feeling that, hey, no one's believing in us but us. We got nothing to lose. Let's go for it.
Yeah, most definitely. And they're starting to get good quarterback play, and you know this. I mean, if you don't have a decent or good quarterback, you're going nowhere in arena and indoor football. And John Gibbs, quarterback out of Alcorn State, 6'6", 225 pounds, is really starting to play well. And that offense is starting to gel. And the Bucks were really known for having some solid defensive players, and their best defensive players have been stepping up in the last few weeks as well. So should be a good challenge for them. I know that they're already in town. They got in town a day early and toured Green Bay Packers facility and did some cool things. So those guys are in town, so there's no rush on travel. They should be rested, and they should be able to put up a great game.
Yeah, definitely. Also, I don't know if people have been hearing what they're calling the Bismarck venue now. They're calling it the Rack Shack, and I love that name.
Yeah, I heard that a couple of weeks ago when I was watching one of their YouTube
Live streams.
broadcasts. Yeah, so again, a tough place to play, and it's weird that that's a tough region to have a team, but the best way to keep a team in that region and maybe even possibly have other teams in the region pop up along the way is for them to win and have a successful football program. So things are going good for Bismarck during their few years of existence. They've stepped up with the big boys, so to speak, in the IFL, and they're starting to play better ball. Another key piece on that offense too is veteran wide receiver Mike Tatum. So it's been finding some good chemistry again with Gibbs at the quarterback position. So it should be a good road test for them.
Yeah, it's funny. You will hear some of these names and you think, was he on that team or was he on that team? It's kind of like players in these leagues bounce around a lot. So if you think you saw him on a team, you probably did. You just don't remember which one it is. It's like talking about Josh McCown. Did he play for Cleveland last year? Or did he play for Detroit? I don't remember. I know he played for one of the two.
Yeah, you're right, and that's that turnover. And really, what's happening is if you take a look at some of these teams, a lot of the Sioux City Storm players have gotten away from Sioux City, and they're in other organizations now. And those guys come with championship pedigree, so they have a lot to do with some of the teams in the IFL right now, and some of them that are starting to play a little bit better as we get into the latter portions of the season.
Yep. I just find it interesting that players are switch because this is the only sport that I know of where players are actively switching leagues mid-season, and they're really if your team isn't doing well, it's harder to get out of the basement because no one wants to say, "Hey, I'm at this great." Imagine you talking to someone from the Arena Football League, and then you hear someone from the I don't know, you hear someone from the CIF calling up saying, "Hey, we'd love to have you." It's like I'm nice and comfy in my AFL right now.
Yeah, it happens, and if these players were making money on a different level, it probably wouldn't happen. But when you can jump ship from a losing operation to a winning operation and make about the same amount of money or live about the same during the indoor football season, that's why it happens. So it's unfortunate, but there's not a lot of money in this business for the players, and that's why it's happening because the players they're always going to look for the best situation for them personally, and that's going to be on a winning football team. And that's why at this portion in time, you see some of that transition.
It is interesting, and I think there's also kind of a spectacle to it. It's kind of like looking at a Jackson Pollock painting. It's really hectic, but there's something oddly beautiful about it too.
Good way to put it. In case you're just listening, in case you're just joining us, you're listening to the coach and the kid. We're on the Alternative Football Network, and you're listening to the Indoor Football Experience. We're talking a little IFL. Going to move to the talk a little bit about the National Arena League now, RJ, and we'll wait for our special guest to join us. Probably be about another 10 minutes, so we should be able to sneak in a little National Arena League news, scores, and updates. What have you been following this week?
All right, well, we got 3 games tonight at 7 p.m. So, for all you NAL fans, get ready to open multiple tabs on your computer. First, you got the Orlando Predators going to Columbus, Georgia, not Ohio, so people get that confused sometimes, to take on the Lions.
Mm-hmm.
In the second Jungle Bowl, or I forget what they're calling. What are we calling it now? We have a special name for it. Hold on, I gotta find this now. Um, Jungle War. That's what we're calling it. Jungle War.
Okay.
Orlando's leading that mini series 1-0. So that's gonna be interesting to watch. The Jacksonville Sharks are playing the Massachusetts Pirates today, and the New York Streets are traveling down to Carolina to take on the Cobras as the last two undefeated teams do battle.
Well, let's take it from the top. Orlando, all of these games have the potential to be really good games, and especially with the last game you mentioned. But Orlando Predators taking on the Columbus Lions. Columbus Lions been up and down, and Orlando has kind of not been what's been expected of them. But I look for the Lions to win this game. I'm going to go with Columbus.
Same. I think after that showing in the DCU Center last week from Orlando and how I was surprised at how easily Massachusetts took them down. I was originally going into this before that game. I'm like, oh boy, Orlando's the dark horse team. Nope, maybe not.
Yeah, so Columbus has a good organization. Again, they've been struggling. The competition for players down in that region has become really tough.
Well, yeah, they lost Mason Espinoza to the Arena Football League this season. He was their star player last year. No if and or buts about it. So they've been trying to find a quarterback situation. I'll say this about Orlando: if the defense can play good, they're gonna win. But it has to be like lockdown defense, not just your decent defense.
And that's the thing when your team is kind of on a roller coaster. You have to play shutdown caliber defense. You just can't have a good defensive day. You have to really be on point with what you're doing defensively. So again, we both like the Lions. We'll see how it all turns out. And like you said, that game's gonna kick off later on today. The next game that you really mentioned, Jacksonville Sharks and Massachusetts Pirates, again a 6 o'clock kickoff. I like Jacksonville. I don't know too much about the Pirates this year. I will be honest with you there, but I do like Jacksonville. They have they have an experienced roster of guys who've been in this sport a while, and I look for them to win that game.
Same, because the Pirates went through a lot of turmoil in the offseason. They lost their head coach, Amir Ismail. He was actually going to go and coach in San Diego for the Strike Force originally. Then he bailed, was going to coach for the Cobras defensive as a defensive coordinator. And then he bounced, and now I think he's in like Appalachian or Alcorn State. I forget where it is he's at now, but he's coaching for some college team. So the Pirates have done a lot of shuffling around in the front office area, and it's showing a bit in the play. But they're coming off a win. With that being said, you're going against basically the reason NAL exists right now, and that's the Jacksonville Sharks. Granted, Jeffrey Bushi, the former owner, is gone, but it's partly the reason why we have the NAL. You can't fight that fact. And also, you're playing in Massachusetts, so if they were in Jacksonville, I'd say there's no chance in the world for Massachusetts to win. There's a chance. We got two people picking them this week for us in AFT's Pick'em, but I'm still leaning with the Sharks. They're more experienced, and you can't buy experience.
Yeah, you're right. And then the big game of the week, the New York Streets against the Carolina Cobras.
Yeah, and I actually, earlier today, I was having a great conversation with some of the staff in Carolina. Who was I talking to? I was talking to, pulling it up real quick. Gosh darn. Wi-Fi is annoying when you're trying to do radio shows, guys. Just a little thing that I want you to be aware of if you ever try to start up your own show. Make sure you get Wi-Fi. Anyway, Joshua, and pardon me if I butcher your last name, sir. I'm not going to even bother because I don't want to butcher it, but he is defensive coordinator and leader of corporate sales, so a man who wears multiple hats. I was talking to him. They have an amazing core in Carolina. However, they're without Charles McCollum this week, their all-star quarterback, because he got ejected last week. He tried taking his snap without his helmet off, jawed off to the ref, and got tossed for it. So he's suspended for a game.
Yeah, that's going to be a major blow. McCallum, who's been a champion in several indoor leagues at this point, one of the top veteran quarterbacks out there. So
Yeah.
that's a big blow to the Carolina Cobras. And
However,
so,
the Cobras do have Matt Fultz, the former Lehigh Valley Steelhawks, starting today. They were going to bring in, I believe, Patrick McCain, but no, pardon, McPherson. They were going to bring in McPherson at one point, but he didn't want to stay for one game. So you're rolling with Fultz this week. Honestly, I thought he was good in Lehigh Valley when he was on the field. The issue with Lehigh Valley last year is, let's see, the offensive line quite wasn't there. The receivers weren't getting open. Other than that, they were good. So, honestly, Fultz might be able to hold up. But I don't know. EJ Nemeth is just playing amazing football for the Streets right now. I got the Streets taking this one.
yeah, with the unfortunate situation of McCallum not being able to play today, it's a tough task to ask a backup to come in and win such a big game. So I'm going to go with the Streets as well.
Yeah. So that's the NAL for this week.
Yeah, the Streets have really kind of come in with they really come in and kind of kick butt and take names, so to speak, so far. So who knew that the Carolina Cobras were going to be one of the top now teams, especially with the returning teams in this league?
Oh, I did. I did.
So you felt really good about Carolina coming in the now?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they won last year. They were dominant. And then once you heard that they're getting Fabian Guerrero back since the AAF folded, you're like, oh, God, they're back to being stacked at wide receiver. You got Jordan Jolly and Fabian Guerrero. I mean, that's a great deal right there. And then Coach Billy B. Back, who just had a recent birthday, so happy belated birthday, Coach Back. Or in my mind, is the best coach in the National Arena League. And you can't replace good coaching. Also, they got Vacchio at linebacker, the best linebacker in the league. The Pirates made a mistake cutting him last year. I don't know why they did. He played dominantly. The Cobras are like, thank you very much for the early Christmas gift, and they've been keeping him to themselves.
Yeah, you're right, but you touch on an interesting point. A lot of good pieces in place for that organization, and it all starts with management. It starts with having a good coach in place, and there's a lot of quality indoor football players on that Carolina team, and a lot of guys who have won. Like I mentioned in McCallum, McCallum offensively has been with a number of those guys for years now. So good for them that they're all kind of sticking together, and they are finally, they've been in smaller leagues and won some smaller leagues. I feel like the National Arena League is a great league for the Cobras, and all the demographics and the landscape of the league kind of fit well for them also.
Yeah, the Cobras are kind of lucky that and smart, they didn't join a league where they're either farthest north or farthest south because, I mean, you're getting teams like Jacksonville driving up to Westchester County to play the Streets, and then you got the Streets driving down there to Orlando as well. It's just back and forth. Something that I think you're going to try to see with the NAL is them try to fill in some of those geographical gaps. Hopefully they can bring the Mammoth back this offseason, and northern area is kind of bland without them.
Yeah, what's the status of, it's always been my belief, and I mean, it proves out this way. Teams take a year off, they go under. Generally, almost 90%, they don't come back at all. What are you feeling, and what are you hearing about them?
Uh, listen, normally I wouldn't be optimistic about a team coming back, but I have heard a lot of fans demanding them come back. I've heard people are trying to start like a crowdfunding source for this, so if it doesn't happen, they're not going down without a fight.
Yeah, and what was their situation? Did their management bail and they were looking for new management?
Looking for new owners.
Yeah, it's always a tough situation. It's a similar situation to what we're in here, and it's just like it's almost impossible to overcome, because you're asking somebody for a lot of dough up front to to fund things, and that can be difficult.
Yep, it is. So I mean, it's a hard industry to work with, but you got it. So
And you think that they would add another Florida team to the now before that they would, take a team that's set out a year? They have some possibilities to do that. That's the main reason why I ask you.
There's a team popping up in Tampa Bay for the American Arena League. Michael Vick's leading that one partially. So I don't see a lot in the Florida area that's not taken so far.
Yeah, you're right. And you have some of those smaller offshoot teams. I think that they're going to continue to just do what they're doing because they're having success there. A lot of the guys running some of those leagues, they understand that the money that it takes. So if we do have our guests on the line, yes, we can definitely jump over to our Alternative Football Network guest line, and we can welcome in Paul Dodson. Paul, are you?
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
I can hear you good, man. Hey, man, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. How you guys doing?
We're
Doing
doing
really
well.
good. I appreciate you taking the time out this morning, man, to join us. But my feeling on things, man. Being in the IFL a long time, it's you guys deserve the exposure. You're putting in the time and the work. How did the walkthrough go this morning?
Walked through real good. Everybody focused up, ready to go. Ready to play in Titletown.
Yeah, I saw you guys were in town early already yesterday. Since we've been talking quite a bit this week, got a good road test for you guys this week. How are you guys feeling about Green Bay, and what do you guys need to do to come out of there with the win?
Uh, we feeling we feeling good about our matchup versus Green Bay. Not really as far as what we see in Green Bay. It's just about us, finally gelling and finally putting the pieces together, and we finally feel like we got a good IFL product. So this game should be good. Green Bay's a real good team, but we want to shock the league today.
Yeah, you guys have the possibility to do that. In case you're just listening, our special guest today is from the IFL and the Bismarck Bucks. We have Paul Dodson on, Lincoln University graduate, and Paul and I were talking earlier. Paul, as I mentioned to you, and I spent a year at Lincoln in Blue Tiger Country. So
Yes,
talk about
sir.
playing, yes, sir. Talk about playing for Mike Jones at
Mike
Lincoln
Jones.
University, man.
Mike Jones, I want to say, man, that man saved my life, man. I was like when I first got to Lincoln, I was a knucklehead. I was going just doing like goofy stuff, man. He just corrected everything from the jump. He a real NFL guy. He was teaching me the X's and the O's of football, so I learned a lot. And he really helped me become a better person, like a better man. Like had me wearing suits and ties every Wednesday. That was the first time I was ever on the dean's list. Um, like personal development, Coach Jones, like he a real good dude. I owe him a lot.
Yeah, and I think that has a lot to do with why you're in the position that you're in now. Because one thing that I look for in the players that I've always dealt with on the different levels that I've had to deal with players, and even in this capacity, I like dealing with guys who are professionals. And I know that Coach Jones, I'm familiar with what they were doing down there in Jefferson City, in the capital city, and I know that he took great pride in making sure that players were acting professional and carrying themselves the
Right.
right way, and that's why there's a number of Lincoln University guys bouncing around the arena in indoor leagues now.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That is true. My friend Judd, he just actually got picked up by the Columbus Destroyers, and
Oh, nice.
it's a few Lincoln guys like around the IFL. Darius Hicks, he was playing for Quad City. Um, a few people maybe in the AAL. My friend Dwayne Larkins played for like the New Jersey Flight, I think. But yeah, it's a few of us bouncing around still playing. Yeah, and definitely from the characteristics we learned from Coach Jones.
Yeah, and I was wondering, what is it like kind of jumping from team to team, having your teammates jump from team to team? What's that aspect like when you're not doing so well, and like are the players ever doubting the fact that, man, I wish to go here or there, or like what are the vibes like?
To be honest, like our mindset right now is you have to buy in. Like if you want to come, you gotta buy into what we're trying to do. If you don't want, if you hear and you don't buy into what we're trying to do, then it's time for you to leave because everybody gotta be on one sound, one chord, and that's the only way we're gonna end up winning. Then Like I said, we won 2 weeks in a row with that mentality, and we just taking it one game at a time. As far as people coming in uh, and leaving, it kind of sucks because you gain friendships with people and you see them go for other reasons. But at the end of the day, it's all business. So you just gotta take it like that.
And I think that's something a lot of fans are easily forgetting. At least I see it when it happens in the NFL a lot. So, if you don't see people remember it in the NFL, I don't think it's going to be remembered as much in the IFL. So I do think it is a good point to bring up that, despite how much it's a fun thing to do and it's a passion of the players, it is a business. So I got to ask, what's it like playing in North Dakota? And do you ever really expect that you were going to be playing up there?
Man, never in a million years would I thought I would be playing in Bismarck, North Dakota. But I played with Coach Miller last season for the Omaha Beef in the CIF, and you know, uh, Coach Miller, he's a real good coach. I learned a lot from him as well. Real good dude. He was trying to get me to come in the beginning of the season, but uh, to be honest, I was trying to play for the Arizona Rattlers because I stay in Phoenix, Arizona. So I tried out for him. Didn't really get a word back, and I was missing the game, so I decided to give Coach Miller a call, and he brought me up and been trying to help change the program around.
That's great. And you talked about playing the CIF last year. What are the big differences for a player from the CIF to the IFL? Because we hear fans talk about different things, whether it's the streaming services, but for a player, what's the difference between the two leagues?
To be honest, I feel like the IFL is better than the CIF for a few reasons. The first reason I want to say is production wise. It's a lot more people watching IFL games versus CIF games like Pluto TV. It's way easier to get on YouTube versus Pluto TV. Everybody's familiar with YouTube. All you gotta do is type in your team name and it's gonna pop up. So instant access. I feel like IFL has that more than the CIF. Also, I want to say the caliber of not really skilled players, but linemen. Like IFL have way better linemen than the CIF. CIF kind of picking up guys who, not to really down the CIF, but coming off the couch and whoever's big, you can kind of play. But up here, it's like NFL bounce backs, you know, that far. But skill positions are pretty much the same. But I like the IFL's production. I like the IFL's professionalism, and yeah, the linemen are pretty different as well.
I think it's really interesting to hear a player's perspective because, a lot of fans, including myself at times, have always wanted the CIF and IFL to merge. You've had dynamics in both leagues. How does the people in the IFL feel about the people in the CIF and vice versa?
I'm sorry, could you say that again?
Yeah, sure. There's kind of like this mentality of adversity between the CIF and IFL. Do the players like dislike the other leagues, or is it more of just the ownership kind of bickering?
Yeah, it's ownership. It's only the ownership.
That's what I thought.
Everybody wants the leagues to join. It's not like an IFL versus CIF thing. Or I take that back. It is with the fans and ownership, but as far as players, like we just want to see a merger. We want to see just we just want to feel like more professional. Like we want TV deals. We want just somebody to invest in arena football because I had a friend last week that played for Cedar Rapids who like messed up his neck real bad, and everybody's out here trying to play to move up to the next level. But in reality, we're only doing this for like $200 or $250 or whatever the case may be. So I wish you guys would merge and make it better for everybody.
And you talked about getting a TV deal, and the Arena Football League just announces, "Hey, we're partnering with ESPN." I mean, there is a precedent. Like, do you think you could see that happen with the IFL down the line?
Down the line, yeah, I believe the IFL is strong. I believe the IFL is growing. So I could see it, but will it happen? Who knows?
That's always the big question. Logistics, logistics, logistics.
Yeah, you know how that goes.
Oh, don't we? All right, Coach, you got any more questions?
Oh yeah, definitely, Paul. I wanted to get back to talking about your CIF experience. I know last year you played for Coach Miller, good organization, long-standing organization, Omaha Beef. You had a quality season up there with 63 tackles and 6 interceptions. Just talk about, you talked a little bit about the difference in play, and I would agree. I've been basically saying this for a long, long time. I know everybody has their leagues that they really like and want to root for, but at the end of the day, the leagues are based on talent, and talk about the parity in the IFL and the talent not only on your team but that you're seeing from week to week compared to the talent that you saw in the CIF.
Yeah, like I said, it's just a lot more big names in the IFL. So you're playing against guys who played, who was a star at Arkansas, as far as like Marquise Way, I believe, from Cedar Rapids. We just playing like a lot of big names. Like today, we're playing BJ Hill. I want to say he's like a IFL, one of the all-purpose leaders. So as far as that, you got a lot more of that in the IFL versus in the CIF. Like it's CIF, I want to say it's a lot of like systems, like as far as offense wise, not really big players.
Right. And, I know that a lot of times the IFL is very, very particular about where they sign their guys from. So you won't get semi pro guys off the couch and things that nature, like you were kind of referring to a little
Right.
bit. I know that everybody plays this game to move to the next level. And where are you at in your career at 27, 28 years old? I know the XFL is around the corner, and that seems like a league that would be a great fit for you. Where are you in your career? Would you be happy returning to the IFL next season if you do choose to play, or are you still looking to take that next step like a lot of guys?
Man, I'm me personally. I'm looking at any way to take the next step. The next step. It's been a few leagues that I want to call them like pop up leagues that I've tried to try out for just because. Uh, like, have you guys heard of the APL?
Yes, we
Yeah.
have American Patriot League, right?
Yeah, American Patriot League. I was actually drafted first round in that league, but I'm not too sure if it's still going to happen or if it didn't fall through or what the case may be. But
From what I heard, they're pushing the launch back to next season. So like this upcoming spring. So you should hear from them.
well, who knows how that's going to go, But
Hey,
uh,
Paul.
yes,
Hey, Paul. They're out of money and they owe a ton of people money. So
right,
I wouldn't necessarily count on them coming back. Trust me. It's a
right,
part of the
exactly. So I
tryout in
mean, it's a
Texas.
lot of leagues like that, man. That makes it hard for people to want to pursue, you know, their goals. Like CFL trials, you gotta pay $100 each time, and I feel like they just grabbing money. Like I had to work out with Winnipeg before, and they told me they was going to bring me up, send me like a little preferred contract with my rights and stuff like that, and never called me. Um, but I mean, I'm always pushing to go to the next level. I know I can play. I feel confident about my talent and my work ethic. Uh, IFL, yeah, I guess if I have to, but that's not my goal. I really want to, go to the AFL. The Washington Baylor coach, I talked to him. I thought I was going to get brought up this season, but it's a long season, so we just gonna wait and see. But any way I can help provide for my family, then that's what I want to do.
Hey, what's it like playing with Mike Tatum?
Mike Taylor, that's a good man, man. He be teaching me a lot. He a veteran in the game. He's a leader out here. Uh, Mike Tatum. What else can I say about my man Mike? Yeah, he's just a hard worker, man. He a veteran in the game. I just feel like not to say he old, but he kind of like an OG out here. It's like it's kids on our team like 22, 23. Here he is. He just turned 33 and still playing the game better than anybody in the league, pretty much. Record don't show it, but they'll start to turn around and look, and you'll see a big difference.
Yeah, you mentioned early, that things kind of gel, and RJ and I were talking. Sometimes it takes teams in the position that your team's in. It takes get the roster where you want it, and get things to gel. And now that's what's going on for you guys, and you're starting to play a lot better football. But at the end of the day, man, in this business, in this industry, everything starts at the quarterback position. And John Gibbs is playing pretty good right now.
Yes, sir, my man John. I played with him last season for the Omaha Beef. That's kind of part of the reason I came up here. They were kind of like in a two quarterback system, but Homer just left. So JG, with that game that he won last week. Did you guys watch that game?
Absolutely.
Yeah, man. He kind of took over. I've been telling JG, man, if he runs the ball like that, he's gonna be unstoppable. Unstoppable. He had 4 rushing touchdowns and 2 passing touchdowns, and hopefully he continue to play like that. But he always had the potential. He was a 2-time champion at Alcorn State, I believe, and
Yeah.
yeah, he played a little bit with the Saints practice squad, so he definitely has all the tools. He passed the eye test. He's starting to win games now, so hopefully, he takes the league by storm.
What's funny about like watching John play, and I've seen John play in Omaha before as well. It's like when he runs the football, it's like a power forward in basketball running the ball, man.
All right.
Just because he's so long and he's got so much length and he's so tall and everything. Again, in case you just joined us, we got Paul Dotson from the Bismarck Bucks on the line with us. Paul, before we let you go, let our fans know where they can follow you on social media, whether it be Facebook, Instagram, what have you.
Facebook, you guys add me on Facebook. Just my name. I don't got no crazy name on there. It's just Paul Dotson Jr. I'm also on Instagram at P.PDOD period DA period GOD P. The God. I'm on Instagram. Don't really have a Twitter, or I used to, but that's where I'm active at. You guys follow me. I'm gonna follow back. I love the fans. I love this show. I'm gonna be listening every week, and I thank you guys for bringing me on.
Well, I appreciate you taking time to join the show right out of your walkthrough. We know you have a busy day today, so I'll be talking to you down the line. I'll be watching the game and rooting for you. Again, Paul Dodson from the Bismarck Bucks joining us today. Good luck in Green Bay tonight, man. Go handle your business.
Yes, sir, my man. I appreciate you guys. You guys have a good day.
You too.
All right, guys.
Paul Dotson from the Bismarck Bucks. So another interesting story there, RJ, of a guy who can play football and trying to keep himself in a good football situation and see if he can move to that next level.
Well, he brought the American Patriot League and just these kind of fly-by-night leagues, and that, and you brought up how they kind of ran out of money quick, I think it is important for the fans to see that, when you're not in the NFL, there is no official deal, no matter how much leagues want to brand themselves that way. So you get stories like Paul's, and, it's very interesting to hear because, you get the word from a coach that they're going to mail you something, maybe they don't. But I just love the guy's attitude. We got this last week, Mark, just the professionalism these guys bring when we get guys from IFL on, and just in general. If you have professionalism, there's something really amazing about that.
Yeah, it's one thing that I've always looked for. I've dealt with players and player personnel on so many levels, and I mean, nothing drives you crazy more than having a guy who wants to get to the NFL, but he has no professionalism in his toolbox whatsoever. So, and it also makes me think, to the point that you just made, it also makes me think that, we should respect and appreciate these leagues like the IFL, the National Arena League, and the CIFL, and the champions. We should appreciate these leagues a lot more than we do, because a lot of these offshoot outdoor leagues are crashing and burning, and they won't be back. It's just like a team that goes under for a year. They take the money and run. They won't be back. So it's good that these leagues that we're covering and talking about extensively, it's good that they are surviving, and they're finding ways to keep the teams in their markets up and going, because it gives these guys a chance to live their dream. And none of these sports you can play long, and you certainly can't play football long. So I'm glad these guys are in good situations and can live out their dream, at least to the highest level possible for them.
Yeah, and I just, he talked about how, you make around 200 to 250 a week. I think, a common question is how much do these guys get paid? When I was at the New York Streets game a few weeks back, the guys were asking how much they get paid. I'm like, they get 200 to 250, and dollars? I'm like, yeah, dollars. They don't get a lot of money. They do it because they love it and they want to get to that next step. So, all respect in the world to the players, the coaches, everybody involved in these operations trying to get to the next level.
Yeah, no doubt about it. They don't do it for the money. The good thing is about the IFL, as it has proven to be a stepping stone to get guys in NFL and CFL camps. I'll tell you this though, I've dealt with a number of teams in the CFL and a number of players who have dealt with the CFL, the Canadian Football League, and I tell you, I hear this all the time that their communication just falls off. We love you, we're going to bring you in, and then everything goes cold. And
Yeah,
the NFL doesn't do that.
Play with it. I mean, you see another player like, ooh, I want that player, because you have no written commitment. You don't have to do it. And as much as that's kind of slimy, it's how it works. I mean, like we said, it is a business.
Yeah, and the CFL they run the camps that he referred to. We had one, ironically enough, at the high school that I coach at. Oh, come, here's your opportunity for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. $100, and you're gonna do the same stuff that you do all the time. You're gonna run the 40. You're gonna run the 5, 10, 5 shuttle. You're gonna run the L drill. You're gonna do the broad jump. It just gets old for players, and you could hear that frustration in his voice a little bit, just talking about kind of the riffraff out there. So at the end of the day, these guys that we're having an opportunity to talk to, they are true professionals, and they do appreciate the leagues that they're in right now because, again, at least the IFL has been around since 2009, and we've probably had, 5 half dozen outdoor leagues trying to start up in that time that just haven't been able to finish the season. And that's always a benchmark for me in any league, whether it's indoor, outdoor, whatever. Are you able to initially start and market your product and finish your first inaugural season? And so many teams fall short of that. It's unreal.
I think like we say, it's unreal, but at the same time, once you start looking into the logistics of it, I mean, I talked to Greg Fernario of the West Virginia Rough Riders about, like, how much did this turf cost? All right, now, to the average fan, this might be surprising. I know I was surprised when I first heard the numbers. $200,000. That's not cheap. You could buy a lot of things with $200,000. I love the transparency the guy has because he really gives a guy like me a chance to learn about it. And honestly, just going around asking on the Facebook forums, there are a lot of people with a lot of information. If you want to learn more about the industry and how it works, go talk to them. It's a really respectful industry.
Yeah, I would totally agree. It's like anything. There's more good than bad on there for the most part, and I think it's all because of guys like me and you. Like we love football. We want to have a team in our area. Makes me think of John when we were on that little messenger thing behind the scene. Hey, I have 2 teams right here at my disposal. Man, you lucky dog, man. Golly, I have none. And we had a long history of having indoor here.
John, just shout one thing for John. John, quit running around like an implant start and come join us to talk.
He's got too much going on, man.
Oh, come on. I think we're important enough.
Yeah, no doubt. Hey, man, he'll hop on. He'll catch wind of what's going on here pretty soon.
I know. Just give him a hard time.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, he has those 2 teams that he needs to be gathering some coverage and bringing us some insights. So we'll definitely, as the AFL season gets going here pretty soon, we'll make sure that we get him on to chop it up a little bit since he has 2 teams right in his area.
Definitely.
So moving forward, again, if you're just joining us, you're listening to the Indoor Football Experience on the Alternative Football Network. I'm the coach. That's the kid. We had a great guest on again today. Paul Dotson Jr. joined us, defensive back from the Bismarck Bucks. Bismarck's in town in Green Bay as they travel to Green Bay, and they'll take on the Blizzard later on tonight. So ought to be a great game. And Paul made a good point about YouTube versus Pluto. I hate to get in these type of discussions or wars because any type of promotion for the players and the teams and organization is good. But at the end of the day, he made an excellent point, and I have to agree with him. YouTube's just much easier to deal with. Punch in the team name, boom, there you go. One click, and you're watching, the Bismarck Bucks.
Absolutely. I mean, if I open up my phone right now, one of the first apps I have come up is a live streaming service. It's called Wirecast. So I could you're starting to see high school teams, middle school teams. You're probably seeing your kids' t-ball team and pee-wee team start live streaming this stuff.
Yeah, I mean that's the direction we're going.
And I think, there's no way I would have been watching indoor football the past couple of years and covering it without YouTube. No disrespect to Pluto TV, but I find that surface a little harder to navigate, and that's just me. I've been on YouTube since I was a little kid. I know how it works, and most leagues don't have TV deals. With the Arena Football League has done with their TV deal with ESPN, doesn't happen very often because they've been in a recession. But once that happens, you can get people from out of town markets watching, and the chats are pretty respectful. Although this is funny, sometimes people come in like talking about other topics, and we're like, we're trying to watch football here, so it can get entertaining in the chat.
Yeah, I do enjoy the chat too. Usually, those are your diehards in the chat. Sometimes you almost feel kind of scared to even leave a comment. Because it's such a fraternity of people that are involved in the chats. But I enjoy the chats, and like you said, little kids. You mentioned. Being able to, understand YouTube since you were a younger kid and everything. And those are the kids that are going to go to these games and find a player that they like, and they're not going to get on a computer. They're going to get on their phone, or they're going to get on a tablet or something, and they're going to log in and watch. So it's a great way to promote and grow the league. And I have to say for myself, even though I've followed closely since 1999, indoor since 1999 and 2000, and I was an arena fan prior to that. But you only got to watch what came on TV, and you're always looking at the internet for any kind of highlight package or something like that. Now I can even watch games in the archive mode, and I've watched more games probably in the last 2 years, it seems like, live than I did for 10 years.
Yeah, and I think it's also really fun because, we see these elaborate setups like in these mansions with like multiple TVs and stuff. Listen, you guys can have that, spend money on that. I'm gonna have my multiple tabs watching my multiple IFL games, my multiple NAL games, and bring in my Pluto TV tab and watch my CIF games all simultaneously. I don't care how much money you have, you feel like a king when you do that.
Oh yeah, definitely. You got 8 boxes of games open up, arena/indoor football games for sure. So, talk a little bit about the CIF. I know we opened with it a little bit, but we really didn't delve too much into into at least the games that are going to take place. We did talk about the unfortunate situation with Amarillo and the Texas Revolution. So we'll just leave that there as it is, and we'll wait for further details and information before we start commenting too much. But Duke City Gladiators and the Salina Liberty play, and the Omaha Beef and the Flying Aces we're going to be playing later on today. So, what are your thoughts on those two games?
I really want Oklahoma to get a win because right now they're winless, and it's hard to support a winless team. I know that I was covering the High Valley Steelhawks last year. It got to the point where you weren't even wondering if you were going to win or lose with the High Valley. It was just, what's the over-under for today? And you don't want that to happen.
Right. You know, the Flying Aces, they have a tough challenge beating the Beef. The Beef are a little bit like some of these other teams in these other leagues that we've been talking about. They're starting to kind of round out a little bit and play some consistent football, and this is the time to do it. And the Beef, this wouldn't be the first time that they have tried to make a late season playoff run.
I think the term you're looking for, Coach, is they're cutting off the fat.
Yeah, definitely.
That was bad. That was bad.
No, but I understand what you're saying, and all these leagues need to do that. A team that's been kind of disappointing was the Wichita Force. I thought when they came out of training camp, I thought that they were going to be one of the top teams in the Northern Division, and they've just really disappointed. They just haven't been able to stop anybody at all. They've given up so many points this year. And yeah, no doubt. And I'll tell you, a team who is starting to, you got to keep your eye on the Sioux City Bandits. The Duke City Gladiators have disappointed a little bit. They have the talent on the roster, hopefully, to be able to make a run here from the middle of the season later on. But Wichita Force have really been disappointing this year, in my opinion.
Yeah, they have, in my opinion, too. It's hard. I mean, we talked about it earlier. There's the turnover, and nothing ever goes as expected. I don't care how many championships you've won. or how many games he won last year. It can change in an instant. One signing changes the whole thing. You know, I really think it's a darn shame what happened with the game cancellation. I do want to hear more about that because, you know, I do find it interesting when games get canceled. Um, the league has to come out and say something because otherwise it becomes a game of he said, she said between owners, and you don't want to see that. I saw that in the American Arena League last year after a game with the Rochester Kings and the New England Cavalry happened. It got ugly, so I hope the CIF comes out and says something.
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of waiting it out a little bit. And sometimes in this business, that's the best thing to do. Wait it out until we all have accurate information instead of so much speculation. But that could really impact that Southern Division.
Yeah, because I mean, I don't know. I mean, Coach, what's the rescheduling process like when a game gets canceled?
The league has their own steps and guidelines, obviously, in their operations manual. But at the end of the day, it's really going to come down to arena availability. And here, things are booked so much in advance, and most arenas are booked so much in advance that I already heard that's kind of kind of an issue. When are we going to reschedule this game? So both teams have to agree on the reschedule, and I mean both teams need to get on the same page first with whatever the disagreement is or whatever the issue is. Number one, and then number two, both teams along with the league will need to sit down and see if they can get on the same page to save this home game. And if that's not the case, they might have to see if they can play at the visitors. So it's a situation where if it's your home game, your arena needs to have the availability when you want to reschedule that game. And if not, then you take a look at your opponent and see if they have arena availability and you lose the home game and go on the road.
And I mean, it stinks. I talked about this when the AAF rescheduled where they were playing their championship game, which is actually where the Revolution are playing right now, believe it or not. But that's beside the point. The point is, I do. I mean, I feel bad for the players, and I also feel bad for the people who booked hotels, made travel plans, and then here, sorry guys, it got canceled.
Yeah, I've been in that situation before as a vice president of football operations, and I just got to tell you, it's terrible because you already are considering those type of things before everything goes down, and the number one thing is always the fans, and another thing that I always think of, is a lot of the players. You never know what player is from that region or close to said region that's going to have some family and friends travel to the game, make arrangements as well, because these guys don't play in such big markets. So when they do get close to home, they do have friends and family that travel and come watch and play. So again, league cancellations of any kind is probably one of the top black eyes that you could have in a league next to a forfeit.
However, I do want to say that I mean, at least they said it like early in the day, and this doesn't happen a lot in the CIF. So every league has their hiccups. If this was a common practice, like it is unfortunately the American Arena League, I'd be more frustrated with the CIF. But considering I can't remember the last time this happened since the Dallas Marshals just folded, and that was kind of obvious it was going to happen from the start.
Right.
This was the first real out of the blue, rescheduling I've seen from the CIF in a while. So I'm going to give them a pass on this one.
Yeah, we'll just wait and see. I agree with you. I don't know about giving them a pass, but again, it is what it is, man. It's a black eye whether we want to give them a pass or not. It's something that's not good for the league. It's something that no one wants to happen. So hopefully they get things shored up and they get through the rest of their season and they don't have anything like this, because at the end of the day, like I've mentioned, that's really a measuring stick for me in a league. Did they start and finish and get through without any hiccups of any kind? So I'm sure a lot of information will be coming out on this. And like you said, the key players on these discussion boards on some of these different forums and this and that, who seem to always have accurate information one way or another.
Have misinformation they like to tell as well. So
Yeah, and you got to be able to, you and I, guys like you and I, are entrenched enough to know the misinformation. But yeah, some people just get on there running their mouths and don't know exactly what they're talking about. But there are a few handy people on these discussion boards, and like I said, you and I know who they are, know the names, and know whose information you can trust and who you can't trust once you're on there enough. And I'm sure you're on there quite frequently, just like myself.
Yeah, and I gotta say, if you're not on the message boards yet, go on. It's a fun time. Um, Either you're gonna like learn something new, or if you see someone go ranting, have a it's gonna be entertain. There's entertainment to be had there, even if you don't hear what you want to hear.
Yeah, definitely. Entertainment, great word. Yeah, it's definitely entertaining. And so you can talk a little football and get entertained as well. We're kind of getting down to the end of the show a little bit here. What else is going on? I know we don't want to leave some of the other leagues out. I know that you're a big AAL fan, or you at least have some interest in that league. What is going on in that league right now? Because I'm hearing a lot of dissension and some negativity.
Well, negative is nothing new to the AAL, but before going further into that, I do want to send my condolences out to the Bowman family. League co-founder Jack Bowman, who worked with the American Indoor Football League, passed away last week. They have renamed their championship trophy the Bowman Trophy in his honor. So at this time, AFNN sends our condolences to his family. Um, if you go, you're seeing a lot of great memorial posts about the guy. As for the negativity in the AAL, there are different caliber teams. You have teams that are higher caliber, like the West Michigan Ironmen, the West Virginia Rough Riders. Then you have like the mid-tier teams, your Cape Heroes, your Carolina Energy, your Carolina Havoc. And then you have your people who really shouldn't be in the league, your Pittsburgh Defenders type teams. And you can just tell by how they like stream and venue looks like. I mean, the Berg Defenders game earlier this year, they took most of the stream down. It was that bad because here's what happened, Coach, and I cannot imagine how outraged you'd be if you saw this. They couldn't play the venue they want, so they left the glass up, the ice hockey glass.
Yeah, dangerous.
Yeah, someone almost got pushed through the glass. I was like, oh no, like I got scared.
And we talked about that last week in a sense, but in a different light. Unsafe turf, unsafe playing conditions. Period. Um, I was always very, very leery of the venue and the turf, and always asked questions in advance. Our players had a lot of information in advance, whether it be mostly footwear. But again, any organization, team, or coach that would put their players in a dangerous playing situation, I just don't understand.
Me either. There are times where you just got to eat it and say, yeah, we're not playing. You know, if I walked into that venue, I'm not expert on safety regulations in any way, shape, or form, but seeing the glass up is a major red flag. Seeing that there's no official turf markings on the field, major red flag. You know, this isn't some amateur league. This is supposed to be professional.
Yeah, you mentioned the different class of teams in that league, and that's why I've kind of voiced the opinions that I have, on those type of leagues. Sorry for the most riders and the Ironman. I don't see a situation there where I don't see a situation where there's a league fit for them to be in a league together. But I certainly would like to see them both in a little bit more reputable leagues, because those organizations are being run at a high level compared to some of the other semi-pro type organizations you mentioned.
Yeah, to everybody who's going to be saying, Rough Riders, go to the National Arena League. Listen, I've talked to Greg Fornario, the owner. He's not doing it. I hate to burst the bubble. He's staying in the AAL for now. As for West Michigan, haven't heard anything out of that camp, but, considering there's this Continental Indoor Football League, there definitely are markets around there. It's going to take more markets to pop up for them to really be in a great league, though. And that's something that's unfortunate because I gotta say, I love the Iron Men. I love almost everything about that team.
Yeah, I do too. Had experiences with the Ironmen in 2016 and 2017. They bought a great organization down here, highly professional. They've done all the right steps to build an organization all the way to the point where they've invested in the turf, like we've talked about, which is a really nice track. And they had terrible turf prior. So with them making that investment, that ownership group and that management group is going to do everything they can to field a team and keep a team on the field. I will say this, and again, condolences to Jack Bowman. Like you said, I had an opportunity to work with him in the American Professional League one season, and it's just unfortunate that we had such a loss of somebody who spent so much time and heart and soul in this industry and in this business like we do. So prayers up to him and his family. Um, One thing I wanted to know, I feel like with Jack's, decline in health, that it had a tremendous impact on the American Arena League, and really, I do truly believe that that's a lot of the reason some of the things that are going on right now. Their ultimate leader had just taken ill and wasn't able to really lead that league the way it's supposed to have been. But I will tell you, I fielded a lot of calls during the course of a week, and I've been approached by several different people about returning a team here and this and that, and I I think I will say this: there will either be a takeover of the American Arena League, or there will be a whole new league start up, or there'll be the return of a previous league to absorb some of those quality teams and maybe try and move forward in a different direction with the teams that are in that league.
Yeah, and if you're talking about league coming back from the dead and forgotten leagues, I just published an article on top 10 forgotten indoor football leagues. So I hinted at it last week. The number one initials are SFA. If anyone can guess that, good for you and you're a complete nerd, and all the power to you. It's on afnn.net. Give it a read. Give me some feedback. Did I forget a league that you remember that I may have forgotten? Or, who knows? Maybe one league was too memorable. Maybe you have great experiences. I don't know. You tell me.
Well, make sure that you go check that out. I'm the coach, and that was the kid, and that's going to really bring us to the wraps of another great segment of the indoor football experience. Want to thank our special guest from the Bismarck Bucks, Paul Dotson Jr., for joining us. We had a great time talking about all the leagues out there. We look forward to joining you again next week. So for the Arena Football Experience, I'm the coach, and that's the kid, and we want to thank our producer Harry. So again, you're listening to the Indoor Football Experience on the Alternative Football Network. We look forward to you joining us again next week.